Hello and thank you for joining us. My name is Jason Yoho. I am the Chief Commercial Officer at Second Nature Software. We're excited to be hosting this webinar to announce Second Nature Rural in collaboration with Esri, the global leader in GIS technologies, and Second Nature, the market leader in MS4 compliance and program management software. Second Nature Rural is a commercial, off-the-shelf solution designed specifically for the unique needs of MS4 rural permit holders. This morning, joining me today is Tony Anguera from Yavapai County, Arizona. He is an Esri and Second Nature customer. I'm also joined by Krista Campbell and Joel Smith from Esri. We'll hear from them, all three of them, a little bit later. And from Second Nature's team, we have Michelle Tanner as well. So real quickly, for those of you who do not have a lot of experience with Second Nature and Esri yet, Second Nature builds a cloud platform for MS4 permit holders to manage their annual reporting and compliance requirements under their MS4 permit. We partner with Esri, who is the global leader in GIS technologies, to provide a comprehensive solution, a one-stop shop for our rural customers. You can purchase and get more information about the Second Nature Esri bundled solution we will on our website, and we will share some additional links and resources at the end of the webinar. And while we're chatting, we'll go ahead and put a link inside of the chat window as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. We're just going to get moving here this morning. This is a quick look at our agenda. We're going to have a little bit of a roundtable discussion. We're going to kind of I'll introduce Tony again, give him an opportunity to tell us a little bit about Yavapai and some of the things that they were considering as they were looking at MS4 compliance and GIS solutions. We'll be joined in that conversation by Krista and Joel from Esri. Michelle is going to take us through an actual live demo, which will be very interesting for about 10 minutes, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So with that, why don't I please go ahead and introduce Tony. Tony, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about Yavapai, please. We're very excited and grateful to have you with us this morning.
So thank you, Jason. So I am Tony Anguera. I'm the stormwater engineer for Yavapai Flood Control District in Central Arizona. Yavapai County is a large county, roughly the size of Massachusetts in geographic area, and it encompasses the transition zone between the Colorado Plateau and the Sonoran Desert. So we've got great biodiversity here, lots of wonderful scenery, and sometimes drought. We've had some drought lately for this past couple of years, like most of the Southwest, and you know that's punctuated by the monsoons that will come through and can generate some serious flooding and some challenges there. And so at Yavapai County, we operate a small MS4 under permit by the Arizona Pollution Discharge Elimination System, which is regulated by the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality.
That's great, Tony. Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction. I think it would be interesting for folks to understand as you were looking at different solutions to help you fulfill and manage your permit. What were some of the considerations? What were some of the requirements as you were looking at GIS systems, as you were looking at and considering compliance and how to demonstrate and communicate that? Can you maybe take a few minutes to take us through that?
Well, going back to about 16 months ago, right around July or August of 2019, we were managing okay. We had great support actually from our Yavapai County GIS department. But the problem was that if I needed reports or some more detailed data, I had to request it from them. And so depending on their workload, sometimes I could get what I needed quickly, and other times I'd have to wait a few days or possibly up to a week, and it just wasn't working very well. I knew that if only I could generate reports on demand right when I needed them and really be able to see the bigger picture a little bit better, that I could, it would just improve my ability to do my job. And so, for one thing, when the rain comes in, it's typically high intensity storms, short duration, and it's really a matter of inches where the flows will be. And it was just hard to kind of track that accurately. So I was really looking for a way to get out and do my inspections to typically, or especially in wet weather. And another part of my permit is that I have to collect water samples to test for E. coli. And so it's critically important to our program to be able to get out to where the flows are actually occurring and grab those water samples and process them in a timely manner. It's got to be done within 3 hours. So it was all really important. And I was just looking for a way to really improve the program that we had that was already working, but could be done better. That's when I was lucky enough to find you guys.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, I think you bring up a number of considerations that we see are common with real customers as they're going through their early decision-making phases. It's interesting as Second Nature and Esri have been engaging across the country with various MS4 permit holders. One of the other common themes that we hear about is kind of ability to get going quickly. A lot of rural MS4 permit holders, Tony, as you know, don't have huge staffs that are just kind of waiting around for the next project to come along. Everyone's busy, everyone's got full schedules. Making a decision to bring on an additional tool to help with program management is also about kind of just the reality of, do we have the resources to get this going? How much effort is it going to take? Can you talk a little bit about that experience and how that went?
Yeah, so in my position, I'm in a one deep position, so it's me. I do have a supervisor who had my job, a couple years before I did. But really, for the day-to-day and doing all the stuff, it's just me. So, one of the things when I first reached out to Second Nature and was able to speak with Jason and Michelle, I just kind of laid out what I needed. And I provided you guys, I think I gave you guys our permit, our most recent annual report to our regulator. And you came back with that crosswalk paper that showed all of the areas where I had, where there were things I had to accomplish. And, it just kind of showed what the solutions were. So for me to be able to kind of convince my superiors that this was really the way to go, it just couldn't have been easier. I mean, it was all right there. And I'll tell you, in the time since then, I've seen some of the software that my counterparts are using around the state, and it makes me feel good because I've got something better.
That's great. It makes us feel good as well. I really appreciate that detail. One of the things we often hear with rural customers, and we actually hear this with some of the large metropolitan areas as well, as I don't know if I'm ready to use GIS in my stormwater program, or I don't know if I'm ready to use a commercial software system to help with program management. There's a common piece of feedback that we get is, I just don't know if I have the data, or if my data is good enough or ready enough. Joel, I know that Esri does a lot of work to make it easy for folks to use Esri technologies kind of wherever they are in the spectrum of data readiness, both from a kind of a network utility foundation standpoint and from a consulting and professional services standpoint. Esri is always ready to step in and help out, regardless of where folks are in the spectrum. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Sure. The solutions that we provide, I'm on the solutions team, and so we're working to make it as easy as possible to onboard with Esri technology, either alone or with partners, as you guys have at Second Nature. But we're always ready to take anything that you have, whether it's full-on CAD drawings or other geospatial data to be imported into our system, or if you don't have anything, we're prepared to give you field-based systems that allow your field crews to collect content right there in the field and add attribution along the way. So whether you have nothing or something that you're ready to start getting into the ArcGIS platform, we're there for you. We also have data loading tools that help make those processes as smooth and seamless as possible.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's really, I think, consistent with how we've seen the partnership between Second Nature and Esri working together to really make it as easy as possible to facilitate kind of getting up and going quickly. We know that that's a really important part of the equation. Tony, from your perspective, you've come back now after working with the system and working with Esri and Second Nature a little bit in your program, and you've said that you've realized some efficiencies and some effectiveness from deciding to go with the solution that have really contributed to the way that you're getting work done and making things easier. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and some of the realizations that you've had along the way?
Oh yeah. What I used to do was kind of I'd look at the map like on Google Earth or something like that, and I would have printouts, some Excel sheets, kind of looking at where we had done inspections and sort of deciding where I should go next based on those lists. And what this software did for me was it gave me a graphical depiction of my whole area. And the Yavapai County MS4 is complex because it's in 16 different pieces that with their own boundaries. And so, I didn't even realize what I was missing until I was able to really look at it on a map and compare that to where the weather was coming in and what different things were happening, and be able to read the topography. So just having that graphical depiction changed the way I did everything. And it undoubtedly made us much more efficient. And that's really what it's all about. I mean, we want to serve the citizens of Yavapai County to the best of our ability. And so this is one little thing that enables us to do that. And, I think it makes a big impact.
That's really great to hear, and obviously I see Kristen nodding as well. I mean, that's the goal. We want happy customers. We look at all of our customers, Esri and Second Nature. I think we both really look at you as a partner, and our job's to enable your success. If we can make things easier, make things more efficient, and ultimately, help save money, help save time, help people focus on other things by just making things automated or easier to do. We really look for those opportunities. So thank you for sharing that. I think that one of the things that's unique about the Second Nature rural solution with Esri is it's entirely cloud-based. It doesn't require, as you know, Tony, you didn't need to install any software. There's no servers. There's no hassling with anything like that. Krista, you're with the water team at Esri. The water team works really hard to provide tools that enable an architecture like the Network Utility Foundation, and how that really empowers customers to invest in a long-term vision, right? You want to touch on that a little bit as it relates to kind of the outcomes that we've seen in Yavapai with Tony Tony, you know, the efficiencies you talked about, the effectiveness, I think that's really the goal, isn't it, Krista?
It really is. And Tony's got a great story. We actually worked together to create an Esri case study. And I've spent some time with Tony going over how he implemented Second Nature and Esri. And it's really such a great story because Tony mentioned he's the only one. He's a one-man team and he's accomplished so much. I mean, of course, we want to pat ourselves in the back and say, oh, Esri is great and Second Nature is great. But Tony did it. Like, he did the work and he took the advice and he took the software and he went out there and accomplished so much. And one thing I wanted to ask Tony here today is that quick win and getting started. To your point, Jason, a lot of rural and small utilities, they don't have a lot of resources. And they sometimes worry, in addition to the data, but they worry, do they have the knowledge or the capabilities to do something digital and to implement technology? Tony, can you speak about that? I mean, were you apprehensive and how did you learn to use the app and really get started collecting the data you needed?
Great question, Krista.
I've worked with pretty high-tech software and programs in the past, so I wasn't really worried about that. But being in a small rural municipality, budget constraints are always, right there. I mean, that's always a challenge. And so, early on, I was kind of throwing some ideas at Jason and Michelle and seeing what we could do to, how much we could modify the software to really do things that I wanted it to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think originally that it was set up to be able to help me manage my samples and those visual inspections. I think those were added when I asked for them. And I mean, how good is that, That was
great example. Yeah. We want to get you as close as we can and then configure it at the end to be specific for your needs. Well, thanks for everyone for the panel discussion. To move things along and be sensitive to time, we really thought that it would be helpful to stick to a short format webinar. And so everyone, Joel and Chris and Tony, I really appreciate your conversation, your insights. I hope it's helpful and interesting for the other rural customers who are listening in. With that, I want to go ahead and transition to a demo and hand things over to Michelle to show you the products.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. I will share my screen and give everyone a quick preview of what the Second Nature software platform looks like. And so I think Jason mentioned this a little bit, but the Second Nature software is totally cloud-based. So we're not installing any servers on premise. All you really need to get started is your user account and a web browser. So logging into the Second Nature software, it'll take you to our landing page. And you'll see from our landing page here that we have modules and tools tied specifically to those minimum control measures on your permit. So you'll recognize that we have illicit discharge, urban outfall monitoring, construction. These are all tools designed specifically to help you with any kinds of field inspections and day-to-day data management. Then we also have tools to help you with any kinds of reporting and planning. So we can pull and aggregate data from these field tools and produce automated dashboards, reporting summaries, and maps and charts. So instead of, at the end of your reporting year, kind of sitting down and trying to compile a PDF report, everything's kind of already automated and set up for you in the platform. So to give you a kind of quick teaser of how our product works, I'll jump into the construction tool here. And so you'll see right away, our product is very GIS based. So again, we're an Esri partner, and we can pull data from existing ArcGIS online organizations, which makes it really easy and fast for you to implement our solution. Part of our onboarding process is that we can take any existing stormwater GIS data. So we can show your streams, if you have any impaired water bodies, outfalls, and storm drains. And we can actually take that information to delineate urban catchments and subwatersheds. So immediately we're linking the urban landscape to the receiving waters and seeing how water flows throughout your MS4. Of course, if you don't have any GIS data yet for stormwater, that's totally fine, and we can take any existing kind of publicly available data sets. Then with that, we can layer on different kinds of information related to your stormwater program. So in this example, we're looking at construction sites within your MS4. This shows all the active construction sites. And then we can simply click on a point and it'll open a pop-up with various information about the project. So the great thing about our tool is that we actually utilize Survey 123 to do our field inspections. So all you need to do is log into our product, click on a point that you want to inspect, and then it automatically opens Survey 123 and it pre-populates with a bunch of different project information. So in this example, it's construction, but we have forms and inspections or various other parts of your permit. So I can input my information here, and then I can do my inspection on my tablet, on my mobile device, or on my desktop computer if I want to. Great thing about Survey 123 also is that it can work offline. So I know a lot of rural communities have limited cellular connection, so you can use Survey 123 without needing immediate connection to data. Once you complete your survey, you can hit send and it will automatically sync back to the Second Nature software within a matter of minutes. And then we can pull that data and produce automated reports. So for construction, we can download a PDF report of that construction inspection. It will pull in all that information here. And then we can look at any photos that you took in the field. You can see if you issued any enforcement, and then you can view signatures. And with that, I will turn it back over to questions. So we have about a few minutes to do Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the questions box and we will answer it.
Thank you, Michelle. Well done. Obviously, a brief and quick overview. A lot more there. Both Esri and Second Nature are comprehensive and robust platforms. Lots of directions we can go there. I think that the starting point is to realize that Second Nature Rural is a bundled solution. So it comes with the Esri licenses included that you need to get your rural program up and going with a GIS-based program management system. And that the organization around the Second Nature platform is really by permit section. So each section of your permit is implemented and it all rolls up into a very comprehensive performance analysis and annual reporting tool that makes it very efficient for filing your annual report for compliance purposes. While I'm chatting here, I want to check the questions, Martinette and Michelle, if you see things in there. There's lots of different questions I see popping up.
Yeah, it looks like we have a question for Tony. Tony, as a rural stormwater manager, how are you implementing Second Nature to manage runoff from non-point source runoff, such as agriculture?
Well, in my permit specifically, I don't have a requirement for agriculture runoff. It's all of our outflows are kind of close to the roadside, and so it's just, in our particular situation, it just isn't something that requires its own attention.
Yeah, and the one thing that we didn't really get to show you during the demo today is Second Nature platform actually has built-in hydrologic models. So we can estimate average annual stormwater flows and pollution within your MS4 and then show you prioritization maps of where the highest amount of pollutant concentrations or runoff might be.
And there are
Thanks,
quite a
Tony.
few questions in here. Let's go ahead and see if we have maybe time for one more question, Michelle, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Martinette, you can put maybe the link to Second Nature Rural in the chat window and in the question window so that everyone who's interested can find more information. And then we'll put up a list of resources at the end as well. Anything stand out, Michelle?
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like there's one question from Jack about Esri. Do you have access to any FEMA flood maps or anything like that that we can utilize?
I'm sorry, is that for us? I was waiting for Tony to answer.
Oh, yeah. I think it's directed for Esri. Does Esri have access to any kinds of FEMA mapping tools?
I know we have a lot of access within our ArcGIS Online subscription account. So that's part of what you have access to once you become a customer of ours. There are many different versions of the flooding maps, FEMA maps, watershed type of stuff. Joel, is there something specific you wanted to mention?
Yeah, it was, I don't know of a specific national FEMA data source, but like you said, the content that's available in ArcGIS Online for your specific location would be the first place I would check.
There's a storm gauges feature class as well, where you can look at storm gauges across the nation. And then there's some, all the rivers of the nation are in there. You can bring in water feeds. There's a lot to look at in there that can help supplement the data that you have locally.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I know there are more questions. I'm sorry we could not get to them all this morning. Not by design, of course. We want to answer everybody's questions. So please feel free and reach out. Here's some information, additional information that's available both through Second Nature and through Esri. I'm going to go ahead and put my email address in the chat. Anyone else from the panel certainly can do that as well. Please reach out. We'd love to talk with you. Just have a chat and share our experiences, hear about what you are working on, what your priorities might be, what other questions you might have. Of course, very happy to go in and do a deeper dive into a demo with everyone as well. So with that, I'm going to let everyone put their email addresses in chat. I'm going to thank you all for joining Second Nature and Esri today. It's very exciting for us to announce Second Nature Rural, the first off-the-shelf bundled comprehensive GIS solution for MS4 permit managers for rural MS4 permits. So I want to wish everyone a happy weekend. Thank you to everyone for joining me. Thank you, Tony from Yavapai County, Arizona. Really good to see you again, Tony. Wonderful to hear your experiences. Krista and Joel from Esri, thank you so much for all of your support to get Second Nature Rural put together and for joining us on the webinar this morning. And as always, thank you, Michelle, for giving a world-class demo. Happy to chat with everybody else who has follow-up questions at any time. Please do reach out. And on the back, thank you to Martinette. He's back there making this all possible. Managed to pull it off on Friday the 13th. I think a round of applause is necessary there. Thank you, everyone. With that, we're going to conclude.